mix. So let me start with that and talk about the Kenzen Vital Balance shake that we put together, where we wanted a high protein, low carb or no carb, and sugarless way to start your day. We also wanted to fortify it with MCTs, which are the medium chain triglycerides. This is the fat that doesn't make you fat. We also wanted to put in probiotics and to put in some detoxifying compounds in the form of organic greens. And I'm just going to go through the actual benefits. And the idea today is to talk about the clinical or the support in the literature for what we did and why it works. And the first slide here talks about functional food information, and we're not talking about, yes, we've got Whole Foods Revolution, and we're part of that, and we believe in whole foods, but we also believe in putting together foods that are functional. In this case, what we have in the shake is a functional food that's backed up by research data, by published studies, clinical findings, and I want to share those with you today. I'm going to go to the next slide. Is that popping up in due time, Dave?
Looks good. In fact, when you said whole foods, this is kind of, to me, a bouquet of whole foods that
Absolutely.
Specifically designed to just really support a lot of fundamental things in our life. So I feel good about taking this forever and ever.
So here's the functionality that we want to talk about, or that I want to go over today, at least a little bit. Besides the vegetable protein, which is the last one here, and what we did with the vegetable protein was we wanted to use pea protein, as we did in the last shake, as the foundational basis. We wanted to have a shake that was, and I'm going to read some of the benefits here. This is from the QRS. It's a balanced formulation of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. Vegetable protein, 125 calories. And what we did, we took pea protein, rice protein, and hemp and mixed them together. And the reason that we added the rice and the hemp is we wanted to get a full complement of the essential amino acids so that we would have essential protein. One of the things that people argue about with whey protein-based shakes is that whey is an animal protein, and it innately has the essential amino acids. And so what we did here with the vegetable protein was to make sure that we had a correct mix so that we would have all the essential amino acids that mammals need in order to build their bodies and be well. Supports cognitive function, and those are the MCTs. Assists natural detoxification. Has probiotics for healthy digestion, immune system. No added salt. We have a second, third generation stevia, which is a natural sweetener that tastes, to me, fantastic. And I got to tell you, I'm one of those people that just could not take the artificial sweeteners. Maybe that's a good thing, because I don't think they're particularly good for you. Whether it was saccharin or sucralose, or aspartame, you name it, to me, they don't taste good. To me, they taste very bitter. And even the original stevias, when they first came out, they were okay. They were better. But this stevia, to me, tastes fantastic. And I think it was well worth going the extra mile and spending the extra bucks in order to get the best stevia that's available. No dairy, no soy, no whey, no gluten, no lactose, no GMOs. It is vegan certified. It is kosher certified. Of course, it has a great vanilla taste, which is done with all natural vanilla. And let me go and start to talk about some of these benefits and some of the backup for what we're doing here. Okay, should be, let me go make sure, it should be slide 2. Here we go. I'm jumping around a little bit, Dave. Should be slide 2. This should say, Dave, medium chain triglycerides and weight management at the top. Yeah. From a health perspective, medium chain triglycerides increase fat oxidation and energy expenditure, as well as reduce food intake and beneficially alter body composition. This is from the International Journal of Food Science and Nutrition, November 2010. And there are a whole bunch of articles in third-party referee journals that you can find that will corroborate this. But this particular one is nice because it summarizes it, and what it's telling us is when you take medium chain triglycerides, what they do is go to your liver, get busted up into ketone bodies. These ketone bodies circulate through your system and give you energy resources, as well as going to your brain to give you brain food. And when that happens, if you have a low carbohydrate and a sugar-free intake, which we have with the shake, then it tells your body, as Roger Drummer says, it programs your body from the morning, because I take it in the morning, programs your body in the morning. It says, okay, I've got high protein here, I've got no carbs, and I've got no sugars. And, of course, that's redundant because sugars are carbohydrates, but I separate the two so people really understand that it's important to get off of the sugar. And it programs your body and says, okay, we've got high protein, we've got no carbs, we've got no sugars. So what we need to do is we need to go to the stored fat and start metabolizing that for energy. And that, of course, is exactly what we want to do. Next slide here says, this is from the International Journal of Obesity and Related Metabolic Disorders, December '03. Again, talking about MCTs. And the data says that shunting dietary fat towards oxidation results in diminished fat storage as reflected by a loss of body weight and subcutaneous adipose tissue. What it says is high protein, get rid of the sugars, stay away from the complex carbs, and what you're going to do is lose weight and burn the body fat. Journal of Nutrition is the next one. This one is March 2002, and it says MOX 2002. That's because we're very speedy around here. From the literature reviewed, we conclude that MCT increases energy expenditures, which may result in faster satiety and facilitate weight control when included in a diet in replacement for fats containing long-chain triglycerides. Long-chain triglycerides. Yeah.
Could you go back and just tell people what subcutaneous adipose tissue is?
Sure. Subcutaneous adipose tissue. This is the fat that we store around our midsection, the love handles, the double chin. This is adipose is fat, and subcutaneous is under the skin. Is that good, Dave?
And also, that's some of the most unhealthy places to have fat.
Yeah, having it hanging right over the belt in the front, or having that what they call the muffin top, is some of the most unhealthy fat that you can have.
Thank you.
Okay, next one I've done. This is MOX 2002. Here's the next slide, which is from Therapy Portal, January of 2012. So this is fairly recent. Therapeutic levels of MCTs have been studied as either a preventative measure against degenerative neurological diseases or as a treatment in already established cases. And we alluded to this in the beginning. They've used MCTs to treat Alzheimer's. They've used MCTs to treat people with seizures. And what's known is that as far as degenerative neurological diseases, they have a huge benefit. And what we're trying to do here is use it as a wellness neurological augmentation and not necessarily to treat disease. I'm gonna pop one more forward here. Ketone bodies. Now, ketone bodies. This is what happens with the MCTs. You ingest it. It goes to your liver. Your liver immediately breaks it down into ketone bodies, and it's these ketone bodies that have several advantages as opposed to glucose. Not only for memory facilitation in the elderly, but hyperketonemia, which can be induced and sustained for many hours. Ketone bodies can cross the blood-brain barrier. Of course, if they couldn't, it wouldn't do your brain very much good, and ketones are readily metabolized about the neurons. So this is from Neuroscience, December 2008. So this speaks to the idea that these MCTs are getting broken down in the liver. It has no impact whatsoever on your insulin levels, on your glycemic levels. It's completely neutral. And it makes these ketones available to not only augment the nervous system throughout your body, but to go through the blood-brain barrier so that it can be used for memory, for sharpness, for being able to, again, minimize those senior moments. Next one here. This is going to cilantro and chlorella. So what I wanted to do is just take a quick break here and go to some of my my off-site literature, which I don't have on the PowerPoint here. And this is from I don't know if it's Lance Armstrong anymore, but this is from Livestrong, the Livestrong website, and it's talking about medium-chain triglycerides, the fat that makes you lose fat. And I just want to do a couple of quickies here. What are medium-chain triglycerides? MCTs, as we call them, medium-chain triglycerides, are fatty acids that are naturally found in coconut and palm oil and ghee, which is clarified butter. There's also some fungi that have them, and you can get them from a couple of other sources, but the two main sources that you'll see in the literature is from coconut oil or from palm oil. Ours actually comes from palm kernel oil, which is the seed or the nut inside of the palm fruit. So we're actually using and doing recycling in a way and sustainability in a way that other people do not. They're also available as dietary supplement packaged in bottles or in capsules or, as we know, in delicious tasting green shakes. Medium-chain triglycerides were first used in the mid-90s in conjunction with a prescribed diet to reduce seizures. MCTs were originally formulated in the 1950s as an alternative food source for patients unable to digest normal fats and oils. More recently, MCTs have become a favorite energy source for endurance athletes. MCTs have far-reaching health benefits. Who could benefit? And it goes on to say anyone who, and again, this is from Livestrong, anyone who, one, has had major surgery and needs to boost cellular energy. 2, wants to enhance his or her athletic performance, wants to support healthy growth and development, wants to support cardiovascular health, wants to lose weight and keep it off, wants to support mental clarity. And then the last couple parts I'm going to read here are the advantages of medium-chain triglycerides over long-chain triglycerides. Fat molecules are made up of chains of carbon atoms. Long-chain fatty acids, known as LCTs, which make up the bulk of the standard American diet, range in length from 16 to 24 carbons. And maybe this is a little bit too technical, but I'm just trying to define the difference between long-chain and medium-chain. But MCTs are composed of only 4 to 14 carbon lengths, and that makes them metabolize very differently than the long-chain long-chain fatty acids that you have, that most people have in their diet. MCTs cannot make you fat. Because they have fewer carbon atoms, MCTs have a number of advantages over LCTs. Although MCTs are fat and they feel like fat in your mouth, and one of them, taken aside here, because they feel like fat in your mouth, because they give you this this mouth, what we call mouthfeel, they make you feel satisfied. When you drink the shake, because of that sensation, it's telling your body, okay, we're taking in a tremendous amount of good tasting product here, and we can be satisfied. We don't need to eat anymore. And that's a huge, huge advantage. So let me go on. Although MCTs are fat and they feel like fat in your mouth, they cannot make you fat. They resemble carbohydrates more than fat, are easy to digest, and are burned as energy. So there's nowhere for them to go and no place for your body to store them. And again, as we said, what they do is they trigger your body to go ahead and split it into ketone bodies, which again serve as energy sources. As we get older, and here I'm talking to my friend Dave. As we get older, our brains do not metabolize glucose as efficiently as they used to when we were younger. And so they look, of course, for secondary energy sources in order to keep the brain firing on all cylinders. And boom, when the ketone bodies are there from the MCTs, they are ready to go and we get revved up. I'm going to go to another, before I get off the MCTs here, I'm going to go to the physiological effects of medium-chain triglycerides, potential agents in prevention of obesity. This is from Journal of Nutrition, March of 2002. And the abstract here talks about medium-chain fatty acids are readily oxidized in the liver. Animal and human studies have shown that the fast rate of oxidation of MCTs leads to a greater energy expenditure. And I'm just going to read the last section here. And again, I'll give you this reference. It is the Journal of Nutrition, March 2002. And the article is by St. Onge and Jones. And the last literature, it's the last sentence from this abstract says, from the literature reviewed, we conclude that medium-chain triglycerides increase energy expenditure, may result in faster satiety, and facilitate weight control when included in a diet as a replacement for LCT, or the long-chain fatty acids. Here's a second one that I wanted to talk to because we talk about the thermogenic effect, or the increased metabolic rate. So what you want to do is you want to take a substance that's going to give you energy, you want to take a substance that is going to cause you to burn fat, and you want to take a substance that's going to actually ratchet up your metabolic rate so that you do all those processes faster and faster. This is from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 1986, November. It's called the thermic effect of medium-chain and long-chain triglycerides in man. And it talks about the thermic effect of 400 kilogram meals of MCTs, medium-chain triglycerides, and long-chain triglycerides were compared. And the data raised the possibility that long-term substitution of MCT for LCT will produce weight loss. And, I mean, that is a very, very strong statement, and in the group that they looked at, it was absolutely conclusive. Here's my last one on MCTs. This is from the International Journal of Obesity and Related Metabolic Disorders, December 2003, talking about, the title is Greater Rise in Fat Oxidation with MCTs Consumption Relative to Long-Chain Triglycerides in Association with Lower Initial Body Weight and Greater Loss of Subcutaneous Adipose Tissue. That's the fat. That's your muffin top. That's your love handle. That's your gut, your beer gut in the front. And the conclusion here is the data suggests that shunting of dietary fat towards oxidation, and that's what happens with the MCTs, diminish storage fat. So as you eat the MCTs, it signals your body to burn this subcutaneous adipose tissue or the stored body fat. as reflected by the loss of body weight and the loss of subcutaneous adipose tissue. Furthermore, MCT consumption stimulates energy expenditure and fat oxidation in comparing men and women, and it gives amazing results when you're using it in order to control your weight and in order to lose weight. All right, I'm going to move away from MCTs because I'm sure you've overdosed on that by now, and move to chlorella and cilantro. We have chlorella, cilantro, spirulina, spinach, and other organic greens in there. These are organic greens that have been cold processed so that they're completely active. The chlorella itself, which is an algae, is an open cell chlorella. By opening the cell and then drying it, we make the chlorophyll that's in the inside available to do what it can do. And let's talk about some of the advantages, because here we're talking about detoxification. This is from the Journal of Nutrition, September 1999, and the summary here is these findings suggest that the administration of chlorella may be useful in preventing gastrointestinal absorption and for promoting the excretion of dioxin already absorbed in the tissues. Now, here's one where you say, well, gee, let's look at lead, let's look at mercury. Well, we've done that, and these studies have done that, but in human beings, this is a group of people from this particular journal that were living in an area that was contaminated with dioxin, which many of you know is a very, very nasty offshoot and is a neurotoxin. And they took a look at the impact that chlorella had, open cell chlorella had, in preventing this dioxin from being absorbed in your gastrointestinal tract and promoting the excretion of dioxin. It's great to capture the contaminant, in this case a heavy metal, or in this case it's dioxin. It's great to capture it, but you also got to make sure that it gets eliminated from the body, and this particular journal showed that both those things happen. Okay, are you seeing anything on the screen right now, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of have to wait for my computer to catch up a little bit here. I'm seeing a blank, but what I'll do while I'm waiting for this to come up is, let me just minimize this for a second. Yeah, I don't see it. You got it?
Can I ask you, going back to the medium-chain fatty acids and ketones,
Sure.
ketosis,
Sure.
Is there any concern about ketosis?
Well, actually, if you take a look at the Atkins diet, or you take a look at the Newport diet, you take a look at a lot of the effective diets which want to get you off of sugars and which want to get you off of carbohydrates, what they want is for your body to go into ketosis.
Exactly.
Good thing. That's a good thing. So hopefully that will happen. I can tell you, Dave, for me, I take the shake as soon as I get up in the morning with my multivitamin and some calcium supplement. And it not only wakes me up, but it makes me feel full until at least noon. So I'm talking about taking it at 7:30 in the morning and not feeling hungry again until noon, which is fabulous for me because for two reasons. One, I don't want to snack, and number two, I'm not really a breakfast person. I'm not somebody who's going to make bacon and eggs. I'm not somebody who's going to make an omelet, or I don't like cereal. I never liked it. Even growing up as a kid, I didn't like it. Maybe oatmeal once in a while, but essentially it was a bother. So I tended to skip my breakfast, maybe have a cup of green tea or something like that, which is very, very bad for you. When I say bad for you, it's not only not healthy, but it also throws your body completely out of whack. Your digestive system gets signaled the wrong way. And so by taking the shake, I'm getting a high protein, no carb, no sugar input. I'm satisfying my hunger pangs, and in doing so, I'm signaling my body the correct way. I mean, Roger Drummer has done a fantastic job for me explaining, and we work together pretty closely putting this together, particularly on the MCTs, and what to add for detoxification. And I think what we've got is, again, a product that has probably the heaviest of my thumbprint on it in many products for many years, and I'm proud of it, and I'm so happy to see so many of the positive testimonials coming in. I think the only bad thing I've ever heard about it is that it's green, and
that's a plus.
You know, and I heard from Bo Tanis and initially, and Bo was kind enough to be one of the people who saw this first, and we got bounce back from him, and he said, you know, this is a great idea, but it's green. And he said, I don't know if people are going to want to drink green. And I said, it's green because the chlorophyll that's in these detoxifying compounds is still active. We could bleach it and make it pretty, but then it wouldn't be effective. And I said, I think we need to tell people that this is a mean green detoxing machine. And that leads me... Okay.
I'm sorry.
So now you're seeing chlorella is appropriate source. This is Nutrition Research and Practice, Spring 2009. Chlorella is an appropriate source which counteracts heavy metal poisoning to decrease the damage to tissues by decreasing, in this case it's cadmium. But if you're talking about cadmium, lead, mercury, it is the organic greens that we have in there that are doing the job. Next one here, this one is on cilantro. Now, cilantro out here in Southern California, it's called cilantro because we have a huge Hispanic population, and it's one of their mainstays. It's one of the greatest, my grandmother used to tell me that fresh parsley was God's most perfect food. And in this case, we're talking about Chinese parsley or coriander or cilantro, whatever you want to call it, it has the same impact. This is Biological Trace Element Research, September 2010. The results led us to conclude that administration of Coriandrum sativum, however you say that, significantly protects us against lead-induced oxidative stress. And so what it's saying is that if you take cilantro, it has a very good chance of making sure that any lead that's in the products, that's in the food that you're taking, and I'm sorry to say it, but yes, people know about lead in tuna, they know about lead in big fish, like swordfish. What they don't know is because there's so much lead in the environment, there's so much lead in the soil, that beef and other products, animal products, have bunches of lead in them too. So what the coriander can help us do, what the cilantro can help us do, is to make sure that that lead and that mercury not only gets out of our body, but is shunted away, and we are prevented from actually taking it in. Here's the next one. This is from Skin Pharmacology and Physiology, 2012. Study suggests that Coriandrum sativum protects human keratinocytes from, this is hydrogen peroxide-induced oxidative stress through antioxidant effects. This is essentially saying that it has antioxidant effects. So I'm going to go, let's see where we go next. Probiotics. Before I go into probiotics, I wanted to do a couple of asides on chlorella. This is from the Journal of Medicinal Food, 2007, March 2007. It's a study by Nakano, Takakoshi, and Nakano, and it is entitled Chlorella, which in this case, open cell chlorella, supplementation decreases dioxin and increases immunoglobulin A concentrations in breast milk. And so what the study is essentially saying is they took a look at individuals living in areas that were contaminated with dioxin and had dioxin in their systems, and studied the impact of chlorella. And not only was chlorella keeping the dioxin from entering the system, it was keeping the dioxin that was already in the mothers from getting into their breast milk. To me, very significant. Here's another one talking about chlorella suppressing methylmercury transfer to the fetus in pregnant mice. I'm not going to belabor that one, and how it accelerates the excretion of contaminants and problems. Let me go on to probiotics. Everybody knows that our bodies have about 10 trillion cells. Those are 10 trillion somatic cells. We have 100 trillion bacteria that live in our gut. And it kind of makes you wonder just who the host is. But either way, we have beneficial bacteria and we have non-beneficial, or we have harmful bacteria that live in our gut. And what we try to do is keep the balance between have the beneficial bacteria up here and the harmful bacteria down here. And as we get older, that balance gets out of whack, and we have to do things to make sure, either by taking prebiotics like the lactoferrin gold 1.8, taking prebiotics that help us encourage the proliferation of the good beneficial bacteria, or take probiotics themselves in order to replace those colonies. And that's what we've done with the shake. The Kenzen Vital Balance has two different kinds of essential probiotic bacteria in them, and every single serving that you take, in 2 scoops, you have over 2 billion different colony-forming units of probiotics. This is from Advances in Immunology, Volume 107, 2010. The host not only tolerates, but has evolved to require colonization by beneficial microorganisms. known as commensals. That means the bacteria benefit and we benefit for various aspects of immune development and function. The microbiota, this is the probiotics themselves, provide critical signals that promote the maturation of immune cells and tissues, leading to protection from infections by pathogens. And I hope you noticed here right after the word "but" I have "Oz," because I'm sure after you take a sip of the shake in the morning, that's exactly what your reaction is. Let me decode this a little bit. It says we've got microorganisms, we've got these beneficial bacteria in our gut, and we benefit from them, and they benefit from us. That's why they're known as commensals. It's a commensalistic relationship. And what we do is what we gather from them are signals that help us develop our immune systems to promote the maturation, to promote the development and the growth of immune cells and tissues, which helps us to protect us from, as we all know, that's our surveillance system, protects us from infections by pathogens. Here's the next slide from the Journal of American Dietetic Association, March 2008. Benefits of regular consumption of probiotics or prebiotics, including enhanced immune function. Improved colonic integrity, decreased incidence and duration of intestinal infections, downregulated allergic response, and improved digestion and elimination. And let me go through these one by one. It says if you regularly take probiotics, that would be what's in the shake, or prebiotics, as I said, like the lactoferrin gold 1.8, what it's going to do is it's going to enhance the immune function. It's going to improve colonic integrity. Do I need to decode that one, Dave?
No.
You're good on that? What's going to happen in your colon?
Mm-hmm.
Colonic integrity. That's one that Nikken doesn't talk about that often, but I think it's extremely important. Decreased incidence and duration of intestinal infection. It's going to downregulate, or in a way ameliorate your allergic responses. It's going to improve your digestion and elimination. So it's all good, and it's all available through Nikken products. All right, next one is vegetable protein, and I really didn't have a whole lot, and this is my last slide, so don't worry. I'm not going to burden you with. It's my last slide. I think I've got one more after this. This is Harvard School of Public Health, and this is kind of like snow is cold, rain is wet. Vegetable protein is an excellent source of protein. It offers healthy fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and I think it's a no-brainer. What we've done is we wanted to stay away from milk sources. We wanted to stay away from whey. We wanted to stay away from soy. We wanted to stay away from anything that was even remotely touching on or involved with genetically modified organisms or GMOs. So we chose pea protein and rice protein and hemp protein, which we mixed together, and in order to buttress what the Harvard School of Public Health has said. And then here is Diabetes Care, January 2012, fairly recent. Study reported increased diabetes risk with higher animal protein intake and none associated with vegetable protein intake. And I think that's another underscoring of the fact that our shake has no carbs, our shake has no sugar, and our shake has vegetable protein. It is a vegan shake that will leave your insulin levels alone. Dave, I wanted to close by seeing if I could put up this, if I could share, let's see if I can share this guy.
I like that.
Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
See that? Okay. What you should be seeing is www.peaprotein.com for people who want to read more about pea protein. This is the company that we actually get our pea protein from. It is, as you can see, it's located over in Europe. The company's actually headquartered in Belgium. I believe the pea protein itself is grown in France. It could not take more attention from these people who, it's very expensive, but that's okay. It's the best of the best. It's great. It's great reading here if you want to find out exactly what the yellow pea is about, what vegetable proteins are about, and in this case, what Nutrilis is about, why it's innovative. Again, you can just see what they emphasize here. High nutritional value, safe, traced origin, no GMOs, attractive labeling, simple process, environmentally friendly, and they're very keen to do that as well. They're very keen to make sure that they give you a product that is environmentally sustainable, that's grown in the right way, and that is practically one of the most perfect proteins we could get.
Well, the other thing is a lot of people use soy, and I've heard that up to 90% of soy is GMO. That's got a whole list that we could talk about for ages. That has estrogenic compounds in it. That's really hard on thyroids, lots of other stuff. Pretty high stress protein. Pea protein seems to be just really, really easy to assimilate. And I'm excited that you mentioned specifically this kind, because not all proteins are equal. There's different products, and some protein that's from peas I've tasted, it does not taste very good. And this shake, it's absolutely delicious. And you know, if you got something that's a wonderful label, and I think we have the best label on there. If you're a label reader, you're just going to fall in love with this product. But if it doesn't taste good, it's going to be hard to get it down. But this is absolutely enjoyable. If we're talking about labels, if you could just go through one thing. I think enzymes are a big deal. Could you talk about proteolytic enzymes a little bit?
Well, yeah, you know, let me grab I don't have the label in front of me right here, but I'll talk in generalities. What we did, and we did this, in fact, Dave, we did this in response to the pea protein, because if pea protein has any downside at all, it is perhaps somewhat less digestible than an animal protein. So what we did was we put several different proteolytic or digestive enzymes in there specifically to buttress or to augment the body's ability to break down the pea protein. Again, I've heard other than the color, I've heard that some people get gas from this, and I said, well, that will propel you throughout the day. But generally, what happens is after you take the shake for 2 or 3 days, and sometimes it's 5 days, your body understands what you're doing. You're putting your body through some very positive changes by taking the shake. As we say, signaling, or as Drummer would say, signaling your body to do what it needs to do in order to be healthy. And that is start with a high protein diet that has no complex carbohydrates, that has no wheat, that has no gluten, that has no lactose, that has no animal proteins in it, has no sugars. And I think the drum beat from Drummer is get off sugar. And I can't think of anything that can help you get off or break the sugar cycle better than the Kenzen Vital Balance Shake.